Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to my live stream event for Imperium Descent Volume 2 that hits shelves on Amazon worldwide today. And already appreciate everybody jumping on already and the comments that have been coming in. It's great to have you here. By the way, give me a shout out with where you're watching from today. I would love to know. It's a very exciting day. This is the second book in less than 30 days. And the momentum has been really big. The encouragement I've received from you has been huge, and I'm really enthusiastic about writing and continuing this story for you, just based on just the excitement around everything you've been sharing. So thank you for that. Good morning, Mr. H. Thank you. Other side of the world, I'm guessing that's Australia. I'm thinking that's Jason. Missouri, Nikki Hurwitz, thank you. Ithaca, New York on lunch, Mr. Chris Lossinger. Wow, it's so nice to see your name pop up. Pittsford, Pennsylvania, Gerard Rupert, super cool. Central North Carolina, USA. All right. Mid-Atlantic states are beautiful. You have that nice temperate, like it's never as hot and crazy as Florida, and it's never freezing cold like it is for us in the tundra. But I do love the cold. So I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, but it's lovely. So anyway, book hits everywhere. And for those asking, yes, Audible is delayed. We're looking at December 28th is the date that we have our fingers crossed for. So keep your eyes and ears open for those in the VIP club. You will hear first about it. And I'm excited for that. And I know that you are too. It means a lot to me that you love the audio so much, which is I know why a lot of you are here right now. And this is better than a Zoom meeting. Yeah. Okay. I'll take it. 3:30 a.m. in Australia. Y'all are crazy. You're wild. Uxbridge, did I say that right, Krista? Uxbridge, Ontario. Watching on YouTube. This is great. Uxbridge. Man, I want to go there. It sounds great. So anyway, the book will be on audio on Audible December 28th. Again, that's the date we're shooting for. It might be plus or minus depending upon how Audible approves things. But again, I'm really thankful for the feedback, the comments and reviews that have been left on book one are really surprising. I was super nervous, and I said it right. Cool. I was super nervous about performing. It's challenging and big shoes to fill when you have books read by other giants in the Audible narration industry. So anyway, I'm going to give it a go today and give you a sneak peek. Now, I know some of you watching may not have read or listened to book one yet, and that's okay. Suffice to say that you'll know that the characters I'm reading about right now have survived. I don't think that's a huge shocker because I do like killing protagonists, but not right away, right? We got to give them a couple books to kind of breathe. So, yeah. And then I was going to read some of chapter 1 today, and then I might actually read the VIP club pitch. Because this is something that a friend of mine had an idea for, Jeremy Davis, which is actually to have a character from each book read the end segments of the book. And I just fell in love with that idea. And so, so maybe I'll do that toward the end. But my narration is just brilliant. I appreciate that. Huge. That's big. And no red wedding. I can't, we're gonna keep it on the DL here. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before jumping into the narration. And by the way, feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comment section. I'll be taking those over the next hour and would love to hear from you. Comments, anything like that. Let me take a drink here. By the way, we're getting ready to revamp the entire website right now. I'm really excited for it. It looks super cool, and it's in preparation for our subscription model, which is launching in January. And again, I'm just some really great momentum between Imperium Descent, the books coming through. Oh, one more announcement, which is all the Infinita books, Infinita 1, 2, and 3, got new covers over the weekend. So if you want to get those books and you want to get the new hardcovers, or paperbacks. They're available on Amazon as of today, and they look beautiful. I'm really, really, really happy with them. And secondly, those books, as you know, are out in paperback and Kindle, but they're not yet all the way through in Audible. Daniel and Rebecca are about to start recording book 3, Kogarashi's Run. Super excited for that book, and that'll be coming out hopefully early spring, maybe late winter. So February, March-ish 2023. I know they're pushing hard for it. So, and okay, one more announcement. We can talk more about HopperCon in a little bit. But if you haven't heard, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, we are hosting HopperCon in Clayton, New York, in the Thousand Islands. Maybe a little bit in Watertown too, because we're getting so many people signing up for it that it's kind of blown our attendance a little janky. It's a good problem to have, trust me. But we're so excited to host you and to let you see our beautiful area. Nikki says, woohoo, yeah. My wife's going to be doing a concert. I have confirmation from Rebecca Woods that she's going to be coming in from Texas, so you'll get to meet her and get autographs and hear her do a live performance. I'm still waiting for confirmation on Daniel Wisniewski. And we have some excursions, a private boat charter going out on the islands, going to see some hopefully see a castle and a lighthouse. Just an all-around fantastic time. So if you haven't heard about that yet, please look at HopperCon. It's on christopherhopper.com under news, I think is where it's at right now. We're going to put a link on the main page so people can get to it easier, but registration is open. We blew through our attendance in the first 6 hours, expected attendance, and we've just expanded the event. So again, good problems to have. Anyway, without further ado, I am going to get into some reading for you. So I'll take a break here, and you're going to get to see this again. This is how I would do it. I'm not actually recording this for the book. The book has already been recorded, obviously, but you're going to get a glimpse of how I do characters, the mindset. I think Nikki Hurlbut had said, you look so serious when you record. Well, yeah, because you're in the zone, you know? So I'm going to be in the zone here. This is going to be Imperium Descent, Chapter 1. And again, for those waiting for the 28th, here's your sneak peek. I'm just going to go until either I get tired or want to take a break. So, or if you have questions, then they pop up. All right. Imperium Descent, Chapter 1. Vindictian, 25th of Runa, 4374, Common Imperium Era. The Forge, Senato District, Juruk Oasis, Coletto. It's just a dream, Pelegrin Hale mumbled as he pushed himself into a sitting position. Blooper. His fingers came away from his forehead wet, and his sweat-soaked shirt that clung to his skin gave him a chill. Just a dream, Hale. Just a dream. But it felt real enough. So real that he was sure there must be some meaning behind it. All at once, Hale laughed at himself. His best friend, Dell, seemed to have a new dream every fell-foating time they got together, and it always had to have a meaning. The guy needed to lay off the Porbin, and late-night snacks, don't we all? The only difference here was that Hale couldn't remember the last time he'd experienced something so vivid in his sleep. The vision was less like a dream and more like a memory. The words had barely crossed his lips when the imagery faded, flushed away by consciousness and the light seeping through the green glass overhead. He slid out of bed and walked across his rented room. It was the nicest one in the Forge. Apart from my own, Thaddeus Gobmince had said when he tossed Hale the room's key card. It sure beat the utility closet Hale had spent the night in before last. Before that. There we go. Funny how fast fortunes can change, Hale thought. He moved to the window, spread the shades apart, and let more sunlight warm his face. It rose over Juruk's eastern waters and caused the aquamarine oasis to sparkle. Birds dove for their breakfast between fishing boats, which reminded Hale how hungry he was, and that this would be his last meal at the Forge. He would have wow. He would have left last night, as per Thaddeus's recommendation. More like orders. Thaddeus had been adamant that Hale get out of town. Princess Aurelia Pendleton was bad news, he said. Not necessarily because she was inherently a bad person, but because the Imperium had their sights set on her. That's the same could be said for Hale, too. Not the point about being a highborn, just that the Stratus was after him, or at least the alias version, one Oriah Frombon, if they hadn't already discovered that he was the shooter at the Colosseum and the one who'd helped kill Primus Volin Kirill, better known as Snake. As long as Hale stayed in the forge, he put Thaddeus, Junior, Lula, and the rest of the patrons at risk. He would have left, too, were it not for Cora Perron. Teddy Smith says, "You're amazing." Thanks, buddy. You're amazing back. The woman who slept in the adjacent room was Aurelia's personal Lyric, sent to make contact with Elda Mava at the Haven. Hale had his doubts, of course, but those were allayed when Cora produced Aurelia's coin. Plus, it made sense. Aurelia needed Hale for the errand. Besides Rimfellows and Celix, people the princess had no viable connection with, Hale was the only one who knew what lay inside the Sorvana and could get through the Linthepian gatekeeper, Kursek. If Aurelia was to carry on with her political mission of helping excreants, she needed Hale to make introductions before he left Coleto. She knew that Hale's desire to rejoin the Brotherhood wasn't something he could ignore, just as he knew she needed to return to palace life and lobby for reform. Everyone had their jobs to do. Cora is smoking hot, says Gerard over YouTube. Yeah, she is pretty hot. Crash Bond. Can't wait for the audiobook. Thank you, my friend. All right, continuing. And what a nice last job it will be, Hale mused to himself. Cora Perron was the first Viridis he'd seen in quite a while, and not exactly hard on the eyes. He couldn't help daydreaming about her as he donned his dark trek pants, undershirt, black boots, and leather jacket. She'd arrived last night, trying to look the part of the rustic, low-born type, but screamed credits instead. She wore a form-fitting beige bodysuit with black leather at the joints, a dark hood, and aquamarine trim. For his part, Hale wore his armored vest, filled with mismatched plates he'd scavenged over the months. On his back, Hale secured Snake's Kin 10 sword, and that he kept from the contest outside the Sorvana, remember that? Likewise, he strapped his crossbow, Shadow Wrath, to his hip and attached 2 magazines of arrows on his lower back. Cora hadn't come with any weapons, just her Viridis blue eyes, green skin, opal hair, and a figure that could kill. She tried to blend in, but Hale knew a woman like that never could. This is so fun. I'm going to pause just for a second before we get into some dialogue. Nice to hear your pronunciations. I got so many wrong, says Christy on YouTube. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, but I also will say that I feel like readers have the right to pronounce things however they want. So I'm not a stickler on that. Nikki says, I'm trying to decide who my crush is. Gerard. Yes. It's good. Jason down in Australia, it's the voices that just kill me. I can't believe that those voices come out of you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to do it. So we're going to get into some voices here in a second. And I think this is my favorite part. Like, I love reading the prose because they go quickly, but once we get into the dialogue, it's where the real challenge begins, but it's also the magic. So here we go. Content that his weapons were in order, Hale slung his weathered backpack over his free shoulder, took one last look at himself in the mirror, and then made for the door. Cora greeted him on the other side, fist up and about to knock. Oh, good morning, she said in surprise. Morning. He gave her a once-over. Yep, still stunning, even in street clothes. How'd you sleep? Fine. She reached a hand around to the small of her back.
Well, maybe a little less than fine, but well enough.
We'll have you back to the palace in no time.
I'm in no hurry.
Her eyes stopped on the sword handle sticking over Hale's shoulder.
Do you always carry a sword around?
No, actually. This one is a recent acquisition.
From? It looks important.
Hale sucked in some air between his teeth and then said, Someone didn't need it anymore. Thought it deserved a good home. Hey, you hungry? She touched her nose, saying,
If that smell doesn't make someone hungry, I don't know what does.
This way. Hale led Cora along the balcony level that overlooked the Forge's pub. He'd done the very same with Aurelia the day before. The green light streaming through the glass ceiling tried its best to cut through the toco-y smoke, but by the time it did, the beams cast speckled blotches across the tables and chairs. Mercenaries and vagabonds alike hunched over breakfast fare, games of Baladu Thice, and pints of malt.
Not the most reputable crowd, it seems,
Cora whispered behind Hale as they emerged from the spiral staircase onto the Solacrete floor. No, but you want them on your side in a brawl with excreants, he said. The confession startled him, both because he had never thought of wanting mercenaries on his side, and because his views on excreants had been challenged, if not changed entirely in the last day. Irritated with himself, he motioned Cora toward the bar, where Thaddeus pulled shots of concentrated Javi from his giant machine. Despite his size, he seemed to dance behind the counter while serving the dark, steaming liquid to eager patrons. Glass bottles clinked on the mirrored shelves around the apparatus as it hissed and chugged. Far above, white plumes poured from the forge's converted smelting smokestacks, mixing the scents of burnt wood with fresh bacon. Gotta love that bacon. Looks like your beauty sleep failed, Thaddeus said as Hale and Cora neared. That's no way to talk to our guest, Hale replied with a smile. I was talking about you, Pelly. She doesn't need a thing. Cora blushed.
Thank you, Mr. Gobmints.
Please, call me Thaddeus. Something to drink?
Whatever that is, please.
She pointed to someone's cup of Javi. Make it 2, Hale said, and some bacon and sweet loaf. A pair of copper horse Javis, fresh sand pig, and some leavened cane crust coming up. Please, have a seat. I'll have Lula and Junior bring it out. Before walking away, Hale lowered his voice to Thaddeus. Fellows, he and Silix are in the hangar bay. The Grey Maven will be ready in half an hour, he says. Great, thanks. Hale knocked the counter twice with his knuckles and then directed Cora to the same table they'd met at the night before. Hale removed his backpack and sword sheath, setting them against an adjacent chair.
He's a character,
Cora said, taking a seat. Who, Thaddeus? Hale made a show of looking back toward the round proprietor, dressed in his leather apron, tattoos, and gold earrings. Looks a little dull to me. Cora smiled in a coy way.
If he's dull, then I must be utterly bland.
On the contrary, you're... Hale froze. She's what, you nimdo?
Are you all right there?
He was about to attempt more words when Lula arrived with their Javis.
Hey, Uncle P. Whoa, you're the same lady from last night?
I am, yes,
Cora replied. Lula turned to Hale.
2 pretty ladies in 2 nights? Galaxies, Uncle P. At this rate, you're going to burn through all the women in Juruk faster than a 3-toed walnut munches its way down a...
Hey, your dad's calling you, kid, Hale said, turning her around by the shoulder. Still one of my favorite parts.
No, he's not.
Pretty sure he is. Thaddeus? What? Asked the proprietor from afar. Hale pointed down at Lula so she couldn't see it. Thaddeus nodded for Lula to rejoin him at the bar. She, in turn, spun on Hale and said,
I know it wasn't you calling me. You'll regret this.
Then her countenance changed as she turned to Cora.
And you are going to have a wonderful breakfast without any spit in it.
Cora stifled a laugh.
Thank you, Lula.
You're welcome.
She glared at Hale.
And you're not.
Hey, you were. Lula!
She walked away, giving him the hand sign of Mercenary Guild Chapter 4, with her left thumb holding her ring finger against her palm to make the numerals IV, the sum for 4, for the victim, Hale in this case, and the VI for the sender, victory.
Lula!
Hale protested, but she was already gone. She wouldn't. Sorry, this is Cora.
She wouldn't really spit in your food, would she?
Cora asked. Hale laughed.
You clearly don't know kids.
Cora's happy expression flattened.
Oh, Crit, sorry if I. It's all right. I don't spend a lot of time around children in my line of work. At least, not the sort who give offensive hand gestures when they're mad. Huh. And here I always imagined highborns being real smartocks. They have their moments.
Cora's smile returned as she brushed some of her long black hair behind her ear.
Anyway, the Grey Maven, that's your ship. Not mine, just the one we're taking out of here. And the pilot is Fellows or Silix? Them fellows. Talk about characters. That bad? You have no idea. Silix is our guide.
Cora's brow furrowed.
Why do we need one of those? Linthepian territory. Can't be too careful, even if you do have credentials with the gatekeepers. Her ladyship said I was in for a few surprises.
She took another sip of Javi.
So, tell me more about you.
Not much to tell, really.
I don't know about that. The princess says...
Hale motioned for her to keep her voice down a little. Cora nodded in understanding.
The princess says you were a Stratosaur once.
Came up that fast, did it?
Cora shrank back a little.
She wanted me to be as informed as possible. I'm sorry if I...
Nah, it's all right. I served. Medical discharge, though.
For what? If you don't mind me asking.
Hale gave her a half smile.
Hadiana if I know.
I don't follow.
He tapped his temple.
Took a hit to the head during a mission. Scrambled my brain enough that the doctors said I was no longer fit for duty.
And you don't remember anything?
Oh, plenty, sure. Just not about that last mission. And that's all it takes.
To get dismissed.
Hale narrowed his eyes at her, but quickly she asked,
The Stratus wants precision because the Imperium demands perfection?
Something like that.
Cora looked down at her Javi, took another sip, and savored the taste.
This is really good.
Don't act Don't act so surprised.
I didn't mean it like that.
Sure you did. I bet you get all sorts of Javi that makes everything else, what was it, taste bland?
Maybe. I simply didn't expect something of this caliber here.
Looks can be deceiving.
Cora smiled and then covered her face with her mug. Perhaps a little embarrassed? Hale thought. He needed to be more careful, but being near a Viridis woman again was messing with his head.
Get it together, Pelly. Come on.
Incoming,
Cora said. Hale turned to see Lula and Junior bound toward them, bearing 2 plates of bacon and baskets of sweet loaf.
Here you go,
Lula said for her and her brother. Junior looked too enamored with Cora to say anything.
We hope you enjoy your breakfast.
Then to Hale, she lowered her voice to something near demonic and said,
Yours especially.
Then she pulled Junior away and headed back to the bar. Hale looked down at his plate of bacon and pushed it to the table's middle. Cora couldn't help laughing.
You think she really spit in it?
100%.
Shame,
Cora replied with her mouth full,
'cause this is really delicious.
Hale leaned forward and snatched a piece of bacon off her plate. She tried swatting his hand.
Hey, that's mine.
He popped the bacon into his mouth and chewed.
You're right. This is amazing.
I hate you right now.
You'll get over it.
Just then, Thaddeus called from the bar and held the Forge's Inquisa. "It's for you." Hale pushed away from the table and stood.
Be right back. And save that last piece for me.
Oh, sure.
Cora posed like she was about to spit on her plate, but held short of the act. Hale knew he wasn't supposed to like a high family's lyric this much, but Cora Perron wasn't exactly making it easy. He made his way to the bar and accepted the puck-like communications device from Thaddeus.
Who is it? My best mate?
Your only mate, if I recall.
Ouch, Thaddy. That hurts.
You'll get over it.
All right. Of course, he's about to speak to Dell, so maybe we'll jump into there in a second, but I want to take a moment to get some comments here. Thank you for leaving so many nice ones, too. So there's some good ones here. Let's see where do I go. I enjoy books narrated by authors. Looking forward to listening to both the audiobooks. Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate that. How did the voice hold up this time? You sound less strained than last reading. Yeah, definitely held up better. Thank you for that, Gerard. Or no, yes, it was from Gerard. I am learning more about the craft of narration and learning how to use let the mic do the work, which is an old studio saying we've had for decades. Just let the mic do the work, and so you don't have to push yourself to. I mean, it's a gold diaphragmed Neumann microphone. Like, it's a state-of-the-art mic. It's beautiful, and it's super sensitive, so you don't have to speak very loudly. So learning how to use more diaphragm. Basically, I'm taking all my lessons from being a singer and implementing them as a speaker. And so that has helped. Though you'll hear by the chapters 12, 13, and 14 of this book on the audio, my voice was getting fatigued. Now, the perk of that is that all the bad guys sound super bad. So when you're talking like, my name is Legatus Siderius Cull. Like, you get this, the deeper, the high end breaks up and the deeper resonance starts to get employed. And so that's pretty cool. Nikki asks, how many times have you used the wrong character's voice? Have you accidentally used Aurelia when you were supposed to use Hale? Absolutely. And there was a blooper in the last book for that. And there's at least one more, maybe two in this book as well. And it's just funny because I'll be reading the line because you don't see, unless you're looking ahead, you don't see he said or Aurelia said or whatever the dialogue tag until it's too late. Normally I'm pretty good. Like there, I think I had one or two. And of course I'm reading straight through without stopping, but it can be super funny when you just voice a reaction in someone else's character voice and you're like, wow, that's that's just a hot mess. So yeah, sandpig bacon, I agree. I want some now. I want bacon. Scott says, outstanding, thank you so much, I really appreciate that. And Nikki, seeing your facial expressions with different characters is so entertaining. Yeah, I tend to like, in vocal narration, we say that characters live in a certain headspace. And so you have like 4 quadrants in your mouth. You can be down toward your chin, up toward your teeth and nose, in the back of your throat, or down in the back, lower end of your throat. And so those spaces combine with like headspaces and thoughts, and a character can speak very slowly like this and really take their time and be pretentious, or a character can be here like Bashak, and Bashak is very low. And so you're very much acting, not just narrating, and that helps with that really helps with making sure that you capture the essence of the character as well. I like this one. Evil Lula has a bit of Gollum sound to her, for sure. Absolutely, she's a big Tolkien fan, for what it's worth. And yeah, I do hand movements. Jason asks, do I do hand movements? Yeah, I will a lot of times. And even when I'm writing, I'll be like writing with one hand, and I'll be like, somebody taps their nose or scratches their beard, and I'll actually do that, which started, by the way, I would be in my car listening to an audiobook, and and so engrossed that the character would do something like, and they looked over their shoulder, and I'm like, oh, they pointed aggressively at the other person and got right in their face. I would do that, almost mimicking them, and so I think that kind of helps with impersonation and embodiment, personalizing the characters. So, Bill, thank you so much. I appreciate the excellent. That means a lot, and yeah, these are great. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. If you want a little more, because we're gonna get into some Dell Joman now. All right, and Dell is so fun. All right. Hale took the Inquisitor and walked to a corner of the pub where there were fewer patrons. When he hit the answer button, a small blue hologram of Del Joman appeared above the device.
Hey, good looking,
Del said with his easy swagger.
Hey, yourself, what's happening? I just thought I'd check in with you since we got cut off last night. Oh, right.
Cora had walked up to his table and interrupted them. Hale was about to tell him about her when he noticed Del's face.
Do you have a black eye, or is that just the camera?
When characters get hurt, I feel their pain. Sorry, I had to pause. That's such a great comment. It's so good. Yep, absolutely. All right, back in it. He catches it.
Do you have a black eye, or is that just the camera?
Del chuckled. Oh, this is a good story. Del chuckled.
Funny story. After you hung up on me last night, thank you very much, I got bold and asked a lady to dance. Apparently, she liked my moves. Pretty soon, I'm buying her drinks. Doesn't sound too bad. It wasn't, right up until I accidentally kissed her sister.
Hale scowled.
I don't follow. Twins, Saba. The first one went to the washroom while I put the moves on the second. And crit, were they both madder than a pair of Ferno wasps. So, the sisters gave you the black eye? Nope. That came from their handler.
Now Hale was really confused.
Handler? I got hustled, Saba. They worked me. Got me a little tipsy, feeling all romantic and such, and then stole 500 credits right out from my pockets. I tried getting it back, which is when their handler stepped in and took a cheap shot.
Hale tried not to laugh.
But you're okay, besides the bruise and the theft. Okay? You kidding me? You should have seen these sisters, Saba. I think they're still into me, too. Something was there, you know? I could feel it. Whatever you say, Del. So, what do you got going on? Maybe a lady friend of your own? One more job before leaving Coletto. I thought you said you had enough credits. I do, but my last employer needs a favor. The princess.
Hale nodded.
See, I knew it was about a lady. Vacation? I wish.
Hale felt himself redden at the spontaneous confession.
No, she sent a representative who needs to do some research at the Sorvana. The, Excreant Enclave?
Del asked in a whisper. See, right there, I would have gone back and done.
The, Excreant Enclave?
Del asked in a whisper.
Yeah, needs a ride out. Easy. You, gonna be safe with all those Lenthepians? Same crew as before, taking care of transportation.
Del scratched his neck slightly.
Silix gonna be there? She's a part of the crew, yes. And no, I don't need you. You sure? Del, she literally might kill you. Tell me something I don't know.
Hale chuckled at his friend.
Anyway, it's just out and back, same day that I'm off to Minkara too. Lucky. You'll see me soon enough. Speaking of which, I'm leaving the fee with Thaddeus. For the archivist. Yep.
Hale nodded.
Left a little extra in case you need to grease some gears too. I'll take care of it. Thanks. Hey, you be safe out there. I will. And no more twins for you.
Del laughed.
So, triplets then?
There we go. I love Dell, says Jason Pennock. Yeah, 100%. I love Dell too. He's so fun. I love characters who say all the things that you wish you could say, but don't or can't or won't. They're just not appropriate for whatever reason. Yeah, Dell, he's like, the most faithful friend. And we really see him shine in this book in some neat ways. He actually has his own scene where we see it from his POV. But between his faithfulness and his ability to change ideologies for the sake of love. That's a really, really cool attribute of Dell's that I love. And is really, really special. So, but he does love the ladies. So let's see. Oh, this is fun. I know him. I know you too, Tyler Darby. Good to see your beautiful face, or at least your name pop up here. Dell is so realistic. I can totally see through his eyes in so many things. I love it, Nikki. And the lovely, always lovely Veronica says, "Vamos, Argentina!" Yay!
Vamos a la playa. Vamos a la playa.
It's great to have you all watching. Really, really appreciate it. Dell's part in this one is so good, says Christy. Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things I have loved, the shift from Ruins of the Earth, which was all first person present, and now we're into third person past, limited, and I get to focus on lots of different characters and how they are seeing the world around them, and that's been a lot of fun to play with, and I'm hoping to expand that. That happens more in book 2, and then hoping more in book 3, and so different characters get some airtime, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, I just love. Okay, while we're here, hold on. I'm gonna do something real quick. We're gonna come back to this because if you want me to read a little bit more, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. I might read a little bit more, but I want to read you now that we're talking about Dell. So I'm giving this away. Dell pitches the VIP club in at the end of the book, and I'm going to give you his pitch. And again, like the last book for audio listeners, there is no warning. Literally, it's the last line of the book, and the next voice you hear is a character breaking the fourth wall, talking to you, the listener. So, I wouldn't read the last line of the book to you. That would be torture. We're just going to pretend you just heard the last line of the book, and then this is what you hear.
Pretty crazy so far, right? Yeah, only 'cause you weren't the one being shot at. Must be real nice, sitting there in your comfy chair, sipping some bourbon, maybe driving around in a fancy hover slider, or walking your overpriced mutated furfin or some crit. Ha! Meanwhile, the rest of us are out here earning scorch marks. And don't try to hide neither. I can see that smart-aleck grin on your face from here. Though, I suppose you're probably eager to see whether or not we survive in the next book. Yeah, me too. I don't have high hopes, given the author's track record for putting us through Hadeon. Fode. Anyway, they handed me a script for this Nimdode segment, and apparently I'm off it.
I feel like I need papers for this. Oh, man. We actually had Foley we had some papers for the actual recording this. You'll hear it. Anyway, I'm going to keep going.
Anyway, they handed me a script for this Nimdode segment, and apparently I'm off it. Wouldn't you know, they're making all sorts of hand motions at me from behind the glass and crit. Yeah, I hear you, sons of Salaron. Anyway, let me see here. Okay, so supposedly the author wants you to join his fancy club or what have you. Some swooshy jam in the VIP crit. You get a poker chip. Okay, that's edge. And a discount at his merchant stand. Right on. And a free short story. That, hey, it stars me. It doesn't star me, but I'm in it. Okay, so apparently I'm not the star. Whatever. It says here that you also get invited to some elitist private network group, whatever. Listen, I can't vouch for any of this, but my Saba Hale said I had to do it. So, here I am. What? Oh, you need to sign up at ChristopherHopper.com today. All right, then. Guess that's it. Now, some of y'all better make good on the promise to introduce me to the ladies outside. I don't know who said it, but you're going to make it happen, right? Hey, don't you mute comms. I can still see you. Hey, where do you think you're going, huh? That's right. You can run, but you can't hide.
There you go. All right, we're making some people smile today. That's good. That's what I like to see. Thanks, Veronica. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, so that is Dell, and he is just an absolute piece of work. I feel like everybody has a Dell in their lives, you know. Nikki says he's my new favorite character for sure. I feel like everybody has to have a Dell. And subscriptions for authors. I love you. I'm guessing that is either Michael or Amelia. Either way, how fun. Thank you. I love you back. I love you back. Dell is just brilliant, says Jason. Nikki's laughing. Veronica, that was great. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we all have to have a Dell in our lives, right? He's somebody that is just over the top, loud. They get themselves in trouble, but they're loyal to a fault. And you do want to pick them first on your kickball team. Like sometimes they make things worse and you're just like, oh my gosh, shut up already. But they make our lives so much more entertaining. And oh, it's Michael. Thank you, my friend. So nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So, yeah, so I love Dell. All right, I'm going to keep reading a little bit more for those who are following. So we're midway through chapter 1, and Dell is just returning, or excuse me, Hale is just returning to his seat in the forge to speak to Cora Perron, and we're going to pick up the story, and we get some action here. So if you're a little bit violent averse, this is not for you. Okay. All right. Sip of lemonade here. After ending the call, Hale returned the Inquisitor Jr. as he passed, then made his way back to the table. When he sat, Cora's bacon was gone, but half the sweet loaf was still in the basket. Just before Hale grabbed a chunk, he hesitated.
You spit on this too? You'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Hale thought better of testing his luck. While Cora Perron fit the profile of a loyal highborn lyric, she had a mischievous side that Hale wasn't entirely sure he trusted. Though, he supposed, that was part of her allure.
Really? You seriously think I'd spit on the bread?
She asked. Hale folded his arms.
As a matter of fact, I do. Unbelievable.
When each of them had finally finished their Javi, Hale stretched and stood up.
Shall we?
He says, see, there it is.
Shall we?
Says Hale.
Shall we?
Just then, he spotted two figures step through the forge's front door. The sight made him sit back down fast.
What is it?
Cora asked, turning in her seat. A moment later, she spun back around, gave Hale a panicked look, and held a hand to the side of her pale green face.
What are Stratus doing here?
I don't know.
Hale, I can't be seen in here.
I don't doubt that. Don't make any sudden moves. We just might need to slip out the side door.
Works for me.
I need to see what they do first.
Cora didn't seem to like that, but she complied and kept her back to them. Stratus heirs in crimson ground assault armor always commanded any room they walked into. Hale knew from experience. These men had removed their helmets, which was protocol when trying to present the Stratus's more approachable side, if there was such a thing. It meant the soldiers wanted to talk to people, not break them.
A good sign,
Hale told himself. But he also knew how fast that mood could change if things didn't go their way. The matte black skite blasters slung over their backs would make short work of any dissidents that were feared the sector over. Gramps, the old drunk in a booth near the door, put down his hand of Baladu Thice cards and glared at the Stratocers as they walked by. Then, for some reason, he shot a look across the pub at Hale. For a split second, the geezer looked sober, his eyes full of genuine concern.
For me?
Hale wondered. Then, just as fast, the look was gone, and Gramps went back to playing cards. Hale at least took some comfort in the soldiers' ranks.
How familiar are you with Stratus Command Organization?
Not very,
she replied, keeping her voice down.
See the 2 yellow chevrons on their shoulders?
Yes.
They're Tiro grade, bottom-rung recruits assigned to a cadre less than a year ago.
So, nothing to be worried about?
Normally, no. But the star insignia and numeral I below the chevrons marks them as members of First Stratus.
Meaning?
Meaning they were the top of their indoctrination and field training cohort. So while they might be new, they're very lethal.
Cora accepted this without comment and went back to spying on the Stratocers as they approached the bar. How may we be of service to the Stratus this fine day? Thaddeus asked in a loud voice. It drew everyone's attention and silenced the forge. We bid you greetings in the name of the Supreme, Ryon V, and his legatus Sidarius Cull, said the first Stratosaur. He was a mole human with pale white skin and red hair.
And clearly new,
Hale thought, noting the man's strict adherence to protocol. A more seasoned Strat would have simply said,
"Hi, barkeep. Nice place you got here,"
and bought a cup of Javi. The redhead held an open palm to his partner. The second man was Thorian, denoted by his purple skin and amethyst eyes. He placed a parchment scroll in the redhead's hand. We're here to post a public notice of bounty. On? Thaddeus asked. The redhead undid a leather thong around the scroll and then unrolled the parchment across the bar. Hale saw a dozen of the forge's patrons rise from their seats to get a better look. Excreants, the lead Stratosaur said. Any particular sort? That's a pretty broad category. Purposefully so, the Strat replied, and with a hefty reward, too. This made several more forge patrons rise to their feet. It was, after all, a den of killers for hire. We expect the members of Mercenary Guild Chapter 4 to be eager to seek the Supreme's honor. Of course, and with a bounty of 10,000 credits per head. Thaddeus said the amount for the whole pub to hear, but seemed to direct at least some of the proclamation right at Hale. I expect the Supreme will be paying out more than he bargained for. He bargains for evil to be routed for the posterity of the greater good. There is no cost too large. Well, the Imperium can count on us to hang this and pray for the will of Kai Tak. Thaddeus made to accept the scroll, but the redhead grabbed his wrist. Tell me, proprietor, have you seen a wayward Stratosaur in here as of late? Hale's gut twisted in a knot. So the Stratus was still on the lookout for the shooter from the Colosseum. Somehow, Hale hoped that had all gone away.
Not good.
Not that I can think of, Thaddeus said in a low voice, staring at the gauntlet around his wrist. Think harder. Thaddeus looked up and glared at the Stratosaur, who clearly overstepped. If I were you, I would think harder about taking my wrist, young man. Do you have any idea who I am? I do. A man who has taken hold of my wrist and should think better of ever doing it again. Is that a threat? Most definitely. My charter comes at the behest of your legatus, one who is due here at quarter's end to review our numbers. I am expected to report on a great many things, Tiro. Shall I add this incident to my list? The redhead sneered at Thaddeus and finally released his grip. Hang the bounty. Spread the word, as I request. As the Supreme requests, Thaddeus added, and made the sign of Kai Tuck, using his pinched thumb and index finger to draw the open side of the letter K in the air. Excuse me. The jab made the Stratosaurus sneer again. Oh, whew. And the author hack. The jab made the Stratosaurus sneer again. I will speak to your patrons. These belong to Kai Tuck, Thaddeus objected again. Have you so soon forgotten the goddess and her sovereignty? Another item for my list, then. The Strat, wheeled away from the bar and began glaring across the pub, eyes ablaze. Cora hid her face again, and Hale pulled Snake's sword from behind his chair to keep it out of sight. Somebody said, I just logged in as you were hacking. What a perfect introduction. That's real life. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Okay, it's about to get good. The Strat wheeled away from the bar and began glaring across the pub, eyes ablaze. Cora hid her face again, and Hale pulled Snake's sword behind his chair to keep it out of sight. This isn't good, Cora said in a forceful whisper, back still toward the bar, and the author burped.
They can't find Pendleton Lyric here. It will place the entire High family in jeopardy.
They won't.
You can't know that. We need to leave.
We will. Let it play out, and then we'll slip.
You there, the redhead said to Hale. Spare a moment for some questions.
Crit.
Hale lowered his voice to Cora.
Just stay calm and let me do the talking.
She looked nervous, and he worried she might give herself away. To the Strat said, oh my gosh, I read, too bad the blooper reel is already established, as I make a blooper. Oh, trust me, there's some good ones. You're going to have plenty of fun. To the Strat, Hale said,
actually, we're in the middle of something important. Could you come back in a few minutes?
More important than the Supreme's edict? The two Stratosaurs came up behind Cora, eyeing the table cautiously. What are your names?
Well,
That's Moody Wilpock,
came a child's voice. Hale glanced aside.
Lula.
And she's Fan Mason, big as life and twice as natural.
Lula, her father said in a commanding tone from behind the bar. Come here.
Just doing my part to help these Stratosaurs out,
Lula added as she heeded her father's call. Both men eyed the child as she raced away. Hale would thank her for the diversion later. The redhead turned to Hale. Mr. Wilpog?
That's me.
And Miss Mason? Cora revealed just enough of her face to wave and then look back down again. For a split second, Hale thought it would suffice, but the redhead moved forward. Excuse me, do I know you from somewhere? He asked her.
I don't think so, no.
Hale stood, drawing both Strats' attention.
She just lost her father. Mind giving us a second?
The Stratosaurs exchanged a look for a moment. Hale thought maybe they'd bought it, but then the redhead grabbed a chair from another table and pulled it over to sit. Before Hale knew what he was doing, he stuck his boot out and stopped the chair. The first Strat met his eyes, while the second pulled his Skype blaster off his back. Hey! Thaddeus roared. None of that! There are children present! Take it outside, said every mom to her son. The redhead continued glaring at... That wasn't in the book. That was impromptu. The redhead... It would have worked, though, if it was. The redhead continued glaring at Hale, still pressing the chair. Eventually, he reached over and pushed his counterpart's blaster down.
Fine. Outside, then.
That was the redhead. Fine. Outside, then.
Sons of Sauron,
Hale said to himself.
So much for an easy day.
Your voice acting is superb, brother. Thank you. Thank you very kindly for that. All right. We're going to just do a little action here. You good? Y'all good still? You're all plenty of viewers still. So we'll keep going. It means you're liking this. we can all hear Nikki yelling. It's quite amazing when fans can hear other fans through the comment section. That's just remarkable to me. The wonders of the technological universe. Ah, Costa Dare, my friend. This is awesome. Thank you so much, bro. That means a lot. All right, here we go. In the alley. In the alley. Here we go. The two Stratosaurs marched Hale and Cora across the pub and toward the side doors that exited into the alley. Everyone watched them leave, including Thaddeus, who gave Hale a regretful head dip. But there was also a subtle eyebrow raise that somehow said, "Told you so, Pelly." The good news was that they were still the good news was that they still hadn't seen Cora's face fully. There was a chance she could get out of this clean and not put Aurelia or a high family Pendleton at risk. Jeopardizing them was the last thing Hale wanted. Well, he didn't want a blaster bolt in the back of his head either. So there are degrees of last things wanted, he noted, trying to keep the situation light and think on his feet. But no matter how many scenarios he ran as they neared the side door, he couldn't see any other way that didn't result in hand-to-hand combat. He might be able to take one new recruit on his own, but not two. It helped that they weren't wearing their helmets. He could incapacitate them, which could buy enough time for Cora and him to get out of the city. But in hand-to-hand combat, the Stratosaurus gauntlets would break bone on the first punch. After that, it would be a one-sided battle, ending in Hale and Cora's imprisonment, or, if the Strats chose to use their blasters, death. He had to find a way to talk these men out of this, for everyone's sakes. Hale pressed the wall plate, and the alley door slid open.
Follow my lead,
he said as he and Cora emerged into the morning light. The smells of old cooking grease and rusting metal wafted between the stone buildings. A musset scurried from an overturned trash receptacle with a piece of food in its mouth, and someone yelled for a slider to stop in the main road beyond. As Hale heard the forge's door slide closed behind them, he turned to confront the Stratosaurs.
Sorry for the confusion in there, gentlemen.
The redhead wasn't in a talking mood. He shoved Hale across the alley. What do you think? Oh, where's his voice? What do you think you were trying to do in there?
I already told you,
Hale said, back against the opposite wall.
Her father died, and
I don't buy it. Say, where'd you get that sword on your back, stranger?
An old employer gave it to me. Now, why don't the two of you just move along and...
We're giving the orders around here, not you. And I want to see that sword.
Hale didn't like where this was going, so he deflected.
I already told you, she's pretty distraught. The last thing she needs is for anyone to make her grief worse.
Cora had her back turned, face in her hands. She was apparently playing the part.
We'll be the judge of that.
The moment the redhead placed a hand on Cora's shoulder, she spun around and drove something into the man's temple. Hale balked, unsure if he could believe his eyes. But the Lyric pulled a boot knife out of the Stratosaur's head, and blood coated the blade. The man's eyes rolled back, and then he collapsed onto the pavement. Stratosaur number 2 raised his blaster at Cora. Hale pushed off the wall, kicked the weapon skyward, and then punched the Strat in the side of the head as hard as he could. The man stumbled sideways, but held tight to his weapon. He slammed against the forge's exterior, aimed at Hale, and then fired. The sound made Hale's ears ring, and the flash momentarily blinded him, but the shot went wide and ricocheted off the stone building, showering everyone in sparks. Hale grabbed the blaster and yanked it forward, jerking the Stratosaur off balance. Then he threw his elbow into the man's throat. The Strat sank to his knees, both hands around his neck, and started gasping like a fish out of water.
Don't worry,
Hale said as he kicked the Skype blaster aside.
Your windpipe isn't broken, even though I know that's what it feels like. We'll make sure you get to the infirmary. A few days in recovery, and you'll be back to...
A blaster bolt hit the man's head. Hale reared back to see Cora holding the blaster.
What did you do that for? He would have talked. You can't know that. Can't I?
She raised her chin in defiance.
The first one knew me somehow, and this one would have reported what he saw. They were just doing their jobs. And they would have discovered you too, she insisted. Aren't you afraid? A man on the run? We're leaving Juruk in minutes. You didn't need to. You're leaving Juruk, Cora interrupted. I must remain, and I can't afford for this to come back on Family Pendulin. I would sooner kill myself than harm Penderelia. Hale pressed his lips together and studied her face. While he adamantly disagreed with her lethal choices, he had at least understood her predicament. These strats would have talked, and word about a high family lyric at the forge would certainly have drawn the ire of First Stratus. Still, he lamented the Stratus heir's deaths. These could have been his men, and these could have been his men were he still a cadre commander. They represented the brotherhood he wanted to rejoin, and Cora had slain them so easily. Where did you learn how to do that? He asked, keeping his tone non-accusatory. I... All at once, her hands began to shake, and she looked down at the blaster as if it carried the plague. Hale had seen this plenty, the after effects of killing, especially for the first time. He managed to catch the weapon just as Cora released it. It's okay. I got you. He put an arm around her shoulders. 3 deep breaths. She nodded and did as he instructed. Finally, after looking at her palms, she said, I'm trained in Kida. I just never thought I would have to... I get it. Listen, I need to let Thaddeus know he has a mess to clean up. Think you can find something to cover the bodies with? She nodded. Good. I'll be out in 1 minute. There you go. I hope you all like that. Let's see. Jason, 100% awesome. Yeah, responding to each other. We're all sitting here with popcorn, mate, like a captive audience. Pretty sure you could hear a pin drop. That's awesome. All right, this is funny. Do you use these voices to impress your wife, or is she immune to your gravelly voice and Sean Connery impressions these days? Well, if you're coming to HopperCon 2023 in Clayton next summer, you can ask her yourself. But I think she's nonplussed by me. I think she really doesn't. It's it's same old. But funny enough, I'm impressed by her. Every day she sings, I'm just like blown away. So super cool. Yeah, very cool. So many cool comments coming in. Jason says, awesome. I appreciate it. Doing some house cleaning here. Clap. I love it. Thanks, Gerard. Dan with Inside the Booth says that's awesome, and we're getting some more cheers and accolades. So yes, I love it. You're all super fun, and I'm glad you're having a good time with this. So yeah, this book was even more fun to write. Thank you, Michael. That means so much to me, my friend. Very, very cool. This book was so much fun to write, and you sound sexy as Peregrine Hale. What? Well, Gerard, if you keep that kind of talk up, you might get a kiss on the cheek. Just be careful if you move your head too fast. Oldest trick in the book. It's gonna have us all worked up like Gladiator. Yeah. So the whole idea was, Robbie Williams says, love you, Mr. Hopper. Love you back, Robbie Williams. Big shout out to you. Happy belated birthday, by the way. Hope you had a great day with your family and got some good gifts. So I feel like after being in the Green Ryan Reynolds, I feel like this book, I was much more immersed in the characters and already had a whole book behind me. So both from a technical aspect as well as an actor aspect and being able to embody and envision the characters, it felt more natural for me, and therefore it was easier to flow. And interestingly, I did a lot more editing while narrating than I did on the last book. So obviously, if you're only a voice actor, you get the manuscript and you have to read what's there. It's too tedious to even make recommendations. I've had that happen a few times. Like R.C. Bray once wrote me back, asked for permission to expand on a character, and I actually took what he did and put it in the manuscript.
But typically you don't do that. In my case, I'm the author. So if I don't like how a character said something, I change it on the fly. And literally, I type that out. A lot of times it'll be improv. So I'll say it, think, oh, that was really good. Keep the recording, write that into the book, and then keep going. And that's a lot of fun. And so therefore, I feel like the narration is even more natural because it's really what the characters would say, not just what the author thinks they would say, if that makes any sense. So, yeah. Krista says you can never go wrong with Ryan Reynolds because Christy said the green Ryan Reynolds. Yep, there you go. Love me some Ryan Reynolds. It's awesome. All right, gang. Well, we're at 105. I was going to try to stick to an hour, a few minutes over, though. I'll hang out for a few more minutes. If any of you have questions that you'd like to pose, some of you in Australia need to go to bed. I think it's like 4:30 in the morning. Get some shut-eye. But yeah, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, I'm happy to do so. And again, you can get the book on Amazon. .com right now, and it's in print, hardcover, and paperback. The book I think the book looks really beautiful. There's brand new character art in it for many of the characters, a couple first time brand new characters that we're presenting. I'm just having so much fun. I think my favorite character in any series I have written is actually in the tail end of this book. And getting to voice this character was so much fun. And I think if I were to say, does any character suit me? This character in the end of book 1, or excuse me, end of book 2 is probably me. Like when people are like, oh, that's you. I'm like, no, that's not me. And they'll point out like, oh, you're Magnus or you're so-and-so. I'm like, no, none of these characters are me. They have pieces of me for sure. Hale is not me, but this character at the end of book 2, he's definitely me. They are definitely me, I'll say. Once I get a hard copy, I'm going to have you sign it in person. Deal, Robbie Williams. You got it. Be my privilege. Totally honored. So, all right, gang. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Again, pick up the book on Amazon. Leave a review if you could. If you haven't already, leave a review for books 1 and on Audible and Amazon. And I appreciate it. Going to get them, boss. Rock on. Thank you. Yeah. And feel free to sign up for the VIP club if you're not a member, ChristopherHopper.com. It's free. You get a free short story, an audio short story, a poker chip, an autograph, and a bunch of stickers. And just appreciate making art for you all. It's my joy and privilege. And for all those in the VIP club, I will see you Friday at noon on our weekly Zoom call for the season 2 season finale before we break for winter, Christmas, New Year's, all the holidays. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a hat sitting on my speaker right there that I'm going to debut, and I can't wait to put it on. I almost wore it today, but I'm saving it just for my VIP club. So, all right, that's it. Everybody have a great day. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Boxing Day. And we'll see you in the galaxy. HopperCon 2023. You got it. Peace.